Today, I want to talk to you about a major national investigation in China, which is the pointing to a mouse and calling it a duck case that caused quite a stir not long ago. I know, you must have all heard about it because this case was even hotter than our trending drama series. In this case, a student found a foreign object in the food served in the school canteen, which attracted national attention. Everyone was guessing, what could this object be? A duck neck or a mouse head? Eventually, after days of investigation by the Joint Investigation Team in Jiangxi Province, they finally determined that this foreign object was not a duck neck, but a mouse head. Can you guess how they conducted their investigation? They accessed the video from the canteen's kitchen, checked the procurement list, and then had experts re-identify the foreign object in the video. Sounds scientific and rigorous, right? But do you know what? This process actually doesn't involve any technical expertise. As long as you're not blind, heartless, or stupid, even if you're not an authority expert, you can tell what this thing could be. Moreover, did you know that the mouse head, which served as the evidence, was disposed of on the day of the incident? Such crucial evidence was just discarded like that. Doesn't it feel like this investigation is a bit unreliable? It's like when we play detective games, the most important clue suddenly disappears. How are we supposed to play then? But what everyone finds most unacceptable is not just this. The most unacceptable thing is that some people have raised this common-sense judgment to the height of a victory for justice. I don't know what you think, but I feel like this is a bit too much of a brown-nosing act, right? It's like when we finished our homework as children, our parents would praise us as top students, or geniuses. Isn't this a bit too much of a stretch? In summary, this pointing to a mouse and calling it a duck case shows us that many things in our lives are not as complicated as they seem. As long as we are observant, thoughtful, and diligent, we can uncover the truth. Those who make simple things sound complicated, make small issues sound big, and equate common-sense judgments with victories for justice, are actually just brown-nosers, and they're going overboard with it. Therefore, in life, we must have our own judgment and not be blinded by these brown-nosers. That's all for today's story. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you found it funny, remember to go home and tell your cat, because do you know? Cats love hearing stories about duck necks and mouse heads the most. Hello everyone, I'm your news anchor, Yali. We're here to provide you with one-stop coverage of China's news and stand-up comedy. We hope that you can get your daily news about China amidst laughter and joy. The Jiangxi Zhongkuai case involving a mouse head and duck neck is invested by Shenzhen Zhongkuai Catering Group Company, Limited. Public information shows that Zhongkuai Catering Group has directly invested in at least 24 local Zhongkuai catering companies in multiple provinces and cities across the country, including Shanghai, Anhui, Shaanxi, Henan and others. Zhongkuai Catering also claims to have over 700 college cafeteria projects nationwide, with annual revenue approaching that of Haidilao. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen met separately with visiting delegations from Poland and Italy, calling for closer cooperation with Taiwan. On June 18, Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced that a 10-person delegation led by the Vice Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Polish Sejm, Bartas, was invited to visit Taiwan from June 18 to 22 and meet with Tsai Ing-wen. The delegation comprised heavyweight lawmakers from the main political parties in the Polish Sejm. Besides demonstrating their support for Taiwan's democracy with their visit, they will also delve into the Taiwan Strait situation, regional security, Taiwan-Poland economic and trade relations, technology, and aid to Ukraine. Taiwan's Foreign Minister Wu Zhaoxie recently embarked on a trip to Europe. He said in a media interview that if the EU provided incentives to reassure TSMC's investment, the Taiwan government would not block the company from investing in Europe. However, he hopes that when countries attract investment from TSMC, they can also consider Taiwan's predicament. Before concluding his trip to Beijing on the 19th, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken held a press conference, emphasizing the importance of maintaining high-level direct communication to ensure that competition between the two countries does not escalate into conflict. The U.S. and China agreed on the need to manage their relations responsibly, but China has yet to agree to move forward on restoring military communication channels. Blinken noted that progress is difficult and cannot be achieved with just one visit or conversation. On the issue of Taiwan, Blinken reiterated to China the importance of maintaining the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. He described his important dialogue with Chinese President Xi Jinping and characterized his discussions with Wang Yi and Qin Gang as candid, substantive, and constructive. Blinken also stated that the U.S. has no illusions about the challenges of managing U.S.-China relations. China rejected the Biden administration's proposal to establish a direct military communication line between Washington and Beijing. Experts believe that Blinken's visit to China has found a stop-loss point, for the downward spiral of bilateral relations, but the future remains fraught with difficulties. Beijing issues serious warning to the UK. The UK's Secretary of State for Security, Gendhat, broke diplomatic norms last week by meeting with the Taiwanese Minister of Digital Development, Tang Feng. The spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in the UK said on the 18th, "We warn the UK that any actions detrimental to China's interests will be met with a powerful counterattack from China." On the 19th, German Chancellor Scholz stated that the G7 needed to delicately balance trade and reliance on China. While not severing ties with China, Scholz expressed the need to minimize risk. Currently, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang is visiting Germany. German President Steinmeier received Premier Li Keqiang on Monday. This trip marks Li's first visit abroad since taking office as premier in March. According to the Hamburg Port and Warehousing Logistics Company, the relevant agreement was signed on Monday. Through this agreement, China COSCO Shipping Corporation will acquire a 24.99% stake in Hamburg's Tollerert terminal. This acquisition has sparked intense debate within the German government. COSCO originally planned to acquire 35% of the Hamburg Port container terminal, but this proposal was rejected by the German government. How to reposition relations with China is an upcoming topic for discussion in the Sino-German government consultations. Germany is rethinking its relationship with China. Experts point out that Germany currently faces a difficult economic situation, and the Chancellor's office does not want to confront China. In order to protect the autonomy of tire manufacturing giant Pirelli, the Italian government has announced restrictions on Chinese shareholders' control over the company. China's state-owned chemical giant, ChemChina, is Pirelli's largest shareholder, holding 37% of the 151-year-old company. 70% of newly built nuclear power units will be made by China and Russia. As of January, there were 110 units under construction and planned, with China building the most, at 46 units, followed by Russia with 30 units. China and Russia together account for 69% of the total. The largest exporter of nuclear power is Russia. Japan, the US, and Europe hope to turn the tide with what is known as the fourth generation of small modular nuclear reactors. EU Commission calls for member states to exclude Huawei and ZTE from 5G. The EU Commission pointed out that these two companies pose a higher risk than other telecommunications operators, following the US's practice of excluding Chinese companies. A Chinese employee of Japan's National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology arrested for leaking secrets to Chinese company, Quan Hangdao, a 59-year-old Chinese researcher, was arrested for allegedly leaking his own research data to a Chinese company. The suspect held a core position in the institute. Further investigation revealed that the Chinese company to which Quan Hangdao leaked data is a chemical product manufacturing company, with its Japanese agency located in Tsukuba City. The president of the agency is Quan Hangdao's wife. Quan is suspected of maliciously using research data within his team. Taiwan media poll. Cai Wenjie's support exceeds blue and green, with 7 months left until the Taiwan presidential election. A recent poll by the TVBS polling center showed that People's Party candidate Cai Wenjie took the lead with 33% support, surpassing Democratic Progressive Party's Lai Ching-te, 30%, and the Nationalist Party's Hu Yuyi, 23%, while 14% of respondents remained undecided. The new development bank, established by China in partnership with other BRICS countries, was supposed to reshape the international financial landscape. However, the Russo-Ukrainian war could potentially turn it into a zombie bank. The difficulties encountered by this bank and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, as well as the many problems facing China's Belt and Road Initiative, highlight the increasing difficulty for the Chinese government to reshape what it perceives as a Western-biased international order. Historian Robert Kagan writes that despite China's growing power, its starting point is not high. In 1941, at the peak of their power, the combined GDP of the Axis powers and the Soviet Union was greater than that of the United States and slightly less than that of the United States and Britain combined. Today, the United States and its allies and partners produce more than 50% of the world's wealth, while China and Russia combined account for just over 20%. As an emerging power, China is determined to dominate its region and believes that U.S. power is waning, much like Nazi Germany and the Japanese Empire once did. If China attacks Taiwan, it may face a risk of a similar fate. The Wall Street Journal's chief foreign affairs correspondent, Yaroslav Trofimov, writes that current U.S. and allied officials have said the conflict in Ukraine has punctured the narrative promoted by Russia and China that weak, decadent Western democracies are inevitably in decline. Researchers say that while Taiwan is a key target for Beijing, the CCP's primary task remains maintaining its rule. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, called for greater political support for the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, at a Human Rights Council meeting on the 19th. He also sought to establish offices in China and India. Although Beijing and New Delhi have not yet responded, it is thought that it would be particularly difficult to establish an agency in China. Turk, who took over as High Commissioner last year, expressed a desire to double the budget of the OHCHR. The case of Ji Xiaolong, a human rights defender in Shanghai, began hearing on June 21. The family learned that Ji Xiaolong's defense attorney had received a phone call notification. The case of Ji Xiaolong's causing trouble will be heard at 9:30 a.m. on June 21 in Court No. 9 of Pudong New Area Court. Ji Xiaolong was criminally detained on August 31 last year for opposing the lockdown in Shanghai and arrested on September 23 by the Pudong New Area Procuratorate in Shanghai for suspected troublemaking. This is his second arrest, which came only 6 months after his last release from prison. China is trying to silence any voices spreading bad financial news. Prior to the possible introduction of economic stimulus policies by the Chinese government, the renminbi exchange rate has weakened again. Analysts say that even during China's major shopping festivals with substantial discounts, consumption remains weak. The volume of shipping containers from Asia to the US dropped by 20% in May. The total number of containers was 1.474872 million, calculated in terms of 20-foot containers. Nearly 60% of the containers from mainland China decreased by 19%. The drop was roughly the same as in April in a recovery from the 30% decline from January to March. Vietnam decreased by 24%, Taiwan by 30%, and India by 25%. Economists say that as more and more Chinese people seem to lose confidence in the economy, the Chinese government has no choice but to take action. Some analysts say that if confidence cannot be restored, the Chinese economy may fall into a spiral downturn, in which case further loosening of monetary policy and other stimulus measures may not be effective. Due to the turbulent times, more and more Hong Kong people are choosing or being forced to leave Hong Kong. The Vancouver Sacrifice Theatre and the Freeport Band are using music and drama to showcase local Hong Kong sentiments and comfort the feelings of displaced Hong Kong people. The Chinese government has recently increased its regulation of the financial industry in the fight against corruption. Many businesses are asking their employees to avoid wearing excessively luxurious clothing at work and not to flaunt their wealth on social media to avoid attracting Beijing's attention. According to a report by China's official Xinhua news agency on June 19, Chen Wenqing, a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee and Secretary of the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission, emphasized during his investigation in Xinjiang from the 14th to the 18th that Xinjiang's political and legal organs must adhere to Xi Jinping's thoughts on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, fully implement Xi Jinping's legal thoughts and overall national security concept, accurately implement the party's Xinjiang strategy in the new era, vigorously promote the normalization of counterterrorism and stability maintenance under the rule of law, and strengthen responsibility implementation. China's official media CCTV Military disclosed a case of investigating Maotai and Army special supply liquor factories in the military. This means that after China expressly prohibited the sale of military-branded tobacco and alcohol products, the mysterious military special supply has not yet disappeared from the market. That's today's News Digest. I hope you liked it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time. Take care.